DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. I am Paul Russo, joined as always by the man, the myth, the legend himself, who thinks it's, 40 degrees colder outside than it actually is, Nick Felice. It's one of our personal favorite episodes of the year. March Madness, pretty much just talk bracket the whole time. There's not even a ton kind of elsewhere in the world of sports right now to really go with some discussion. But hey, sometimes it's part of it. So looking forward to it. How's the first day of games been for you so far?
We had last night's games, you can argue that game, the first game, Alabama State at St. Francis, that's one of the greatest finishes in March Madness history.
Recent memory, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have one of the most forgettable games in March Madness history in North Carolina, San Diego State. But, got my coat on, getting ready for this cold weekend we got ahead of us. Colder.
I don't. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts. I didn't even wear a jacket into work today because of how nice it was even at.
That's because you think you're in Tampa Bay right now with that lightning.
Go Bolts. Nice win for the boys. Yesterday, 2 days ago. I don't know. The hockey schedule was weird this week because they are ducking out, and justifiably so, of going against college basketball.
Go Thunder.
I have another. We haven't had one of these in a couple of weeks. I'm getting a spam call right now, so sorry to whoever's calling me from Amory, Mississippi. But let's handle some podcast business quickly here before we get on. Thank a couple of our sponsors, including Finger Lakes Partners Insurance. Get the insurance you need from the people who know it. Finger Lakes Partners Insurance, the Finger Lakes Insurance Agency for your home, auto, or business. You can get a no-obligation quote today at fingerlakesinsurance.com. And perfect for March Madness, Cecchino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. You can visit them at their original Waterloo location or all-new renovated location in Geneva. Dine-in, take-out, delivery, catering, and banquets. You can order online at Cecchino's.com. Live, laugh, and eat well. It's the Italian way, and I know a couple of their pizzas, some wings. Hard to beat that when you got some college hoops on the TV.
I had Cecchino's last Saturday.
That's true, you did.
And it was pretty good chicken parm.
Yeah, boy.
It's one of my favorites.
Chicken parm is one of my go-tos there. Also a big fan. Now, this is me getting really Italian on some fronts here, at least in terms of like you, for example. But I always end up getting greens and beans there. I dive in.
You're only 50% Italian, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yes. What else are you?
Got some German and some French.
Ooh, 2020, 25.
Yeah, we got a whole taste of World War II going on. But bad joke.
March.
Okay, yeah, March Madness. Yeah, go back a little bit to what we talked about right off the bat with the opening 4 games here. Each night we usually get like one really good one and then one really dud one. Also weird how it usually like sandwiches, like we won't see a game as good as say like that Alabama State St. Francis game, but we won't see one as bad as UNC San Diego State. But hey, who knows? That's why we have these games and everything like that. I don't know where do we want to start the conversation with March Madness this year? Do we want to go, maybe we should start with the whole entire, like, did the committee get it right in the grand scheme of it? Now,
first of all, I just want to say something.
Yeah.
I have not filled out a bracket yet. And this is probably the latest I've ever been.
I have mine filled out.
I'm going to fill one out tonight. The thing about me, I know a lot of people always debate how many brackets you make. Yeah. I've always been one bracket guy.
Yeah, it's weird. I think I'm only going to end up doing one pool this year that I'm jumping into. But I'm with you. When I was doing multiple, I just used the same one. I mean,
yes. I'm in multiple pools. Just
right. No. Me and you are saying the same thing, right? It's not. We aren't going, in and doing like, well, this is variant 1387 of. Look, nobody's going to get these things entirely right. Let's preface it with this, right? Like, we could talk to you all day about Cooper Flag and look, they're playing the winner of American and Mount St. Mary's tonight, but like, who knows? Cooper Flag and Con Knipple could go down with ankle injuries, and all of a sudden Mount St. Mary's is the first the first play in 16 to ever move on. Whatever. I'm just.
That would be cool.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, right? Like, you never know. There's never exact science to this, is what I'm getting at.
Most likely, we're going to be wrong.
Yeah. A lot of people think the committee got this wrong, to a degree. My main argument is I actually don't have a problem necessarily with anybody who got in. Now, it's a little bit different, and, when we get to our picks later on here, it will be a phrase I say before. I use some sortable data and blah, blah, blah. I'm one of the metric guys. We've been over this across multiple sports. But the numbers don't lie, especially since the new year, UNC's been a at worst, top 35 team, depending on which one you're looking at. If you're looking at since the start of February, they're the 15th best team in the country. Obviously, I'm bringing that up because that's the one that everybody's talking about here that made the tournament and who didn't. I think my main thing is it's not even so much Indiana fans. I think it's West Virginia fans. If you're going to have a gripe, you have a gripe. Even then, I think now you're just going overboard by having, Have you ever been to West Virginia? By the way, this is going to be a weird. This is a weird side cart tangent that's about to happen.
Family, we drove through it years ago.
Okay, so same for me for the most part. Depending upon where I'm going, it tends to be a stop every now and then for like an hour or so, give or take. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Just all depends, right? The governor of West Virginia, you got bigger issues in your state than a college basketball team and suing the NCAA for whatever reason. Just calling it like it is. When you're a bottom 3 educated state, maybe worry about your state infrastructure. Just me. Anyway. But look, the fact of the matter is, I always go back to this. Maybe you should have won better games at a better time, and you wouldn't be in this conversation. Now it's kind of funny because now the NCAA I've already seen is licking their chops to go to the expansion, expanded tournament again and blah, blah, blah. And so what? We can complain about Team 97 not getting in over Team 96? Like, this isn't going to change anything. Like, this is... We talk about this every time, no matter what playoff, no matter what format, no matter what sport involving college athletics. We talked about it literally 3 months ago with the college football playoff. Like,
it's always going to be tough.
None of these committees are going to get it exactly right. None of these committees are going to get it exactly wrong, right? The bottom portion of each bracket usually is the bottom portion of each bracket for a reason. It just, the way it is the way it is. If you have a problem with it, like I said, win better games at a better time than too late than we only needed it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to the conversation's always going to be about the teams that are right on the borderline or making it or missing it. And we saw in college football this year, if we don't have the expanded playoff, Ohio State and Notre Dame don't even go to the national championship.
Yeah, this year, yeah.
And if you expanded to 96 teams, which I think is ridiculous, West Virginia and them would all been in, and nobody would even said anything about North Carolina.
Right.
But what made this a bigger deal, because, the bubble's been a thing forever.
Right.
What made this a bigger deal is that the head of the committee was the North Carolina athletic director. And that, he got a bonus for getting the team in the tournament.
Well, okay.
And,
I'll let you finish.
And supposedly he wasn't in the room when they discussed North Carolina.
But that's what I was going to say. For better or worse, at this time, we have to take him at his word that he was not involved in that conversation. I get what you're going at. You're not the first person I've heard it from. You certainly won't be the last. But I'm just saying at face value, we have to trust him at his word right now that he wasn't in that room.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, this is even North Carolina fans.
Mm-hmm.
They've been wanting Hubert Davis out a long time.
That was my other portion about this is they overreacted all year about this team.
And him giving him extension, they weren't very happy at first.
Yeah.
But getting him into the tournament does make his decision look a little bit better. There's that part of it as well. And then there's just, if this is like Temple, and
are we having this conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blue blood.
Right.
It's North Carolina. The school's been cheating for years, and they never do anything about them.
Attaboy.
And
no classes.
This is why it's a big deal. And they're in with one quad one win and I think 14 tries.
Yeah. I'll let you finish again.
It's just, there's just so many things against their resume to not put them in. And if Temple had a resume like that, Temple's not making this tournament.
No.
West Virginia's making the tournament.
So my main thing with the quad stuff is I get it to a degree. I just hate how people use it for certain teams and not others, right? I mean, I'm just calling it like it is. And I get what you mean by that, but like,
apologies to Temple. I didn't mean that.
But look at it last night, right? San Diego State, that would have been a quad one win for them if they had won in the hypothetical, right? But UNC, it's only a quad two.
Yeah.
Like, what? You know what I mean?
It's like where the game is.
It's
right?
just like I don't know. I get it to, again, I get it to some degree. I get it to not degree. Look, my main beef with a lot of the stuff, right, is UNC fans, I think, were overreacted. The media overreacted to them all year. Is it a great UNC team? No. They will even tell you that they underachieved this year by their standards and stuff like that, and they certainly aren't. But are they the worst UNC team ever? That is not the case the way a lot of people are reacting to them. From media to the fans, everything in between. Like I said, if you look at different metrics, they are still at the very least, they are a technical by numeric number, a tournament team no matter what here. If you're looking at it from whether it's top 68 to however you measure it. And at the end of the day, I don't think they can necessarily go far. There's a reason why they're favored over Ole Miss already.
Maybe that's why Mississippi's calling you.
I don't think that's the case. Apparently, I've been pre-approved for another personal loan. So
yeah. Oh, good job.
Yeah. I think it's weird because I think luck because UNC getting it. I think Texas escaped a little bit of this talk about want to talk about maybe some snubs going on and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting.
What was Texas's record? You got records?
They're 19 and 15.
Yeah. 15.
Now they aren't obviously record-wise the worst team in the tournament, right? But they're one of the worst at large bid records in there. Do I think it's a little bit of the SEC this year being a tough conference? And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree, but like, this goes back to a discussion we had last week. Do we think a team like, say, and I don't mean to pick on them because it's like literally where these games are being played in the first four, but like a team like Dayton this year who, good year, underachieved for what they were supposed to be. The community doesn't give them the benefit of the doubt, right? And that's where I struggle with stuff like this, where again, SEC, no doubt about tough conferences here. The A-10 ended up being a bloodbath for a lot of teams. They cannibalized each other for the most part.
And they got one?
Yeah, the only one in there was the auto bid of VCU, and they probably should have been a 2-bid league.
Yeah, they've been like that forever.
Yeah. They should have been at minimum 2-bid league. I've sat here and I've said Missouri Valley probably should have been a 2-bid league. Just stuff like that, right? I don't know. I don't envy the positions. I said this about football. I don't envy the positions that some of these guys are in, right? The guys and girls who do this. I said this today in the office. They probably honestly see as much basketball as we do. And we watch a lot of it, but you can't see every game. And it is what it is. There's no perfect solution to this. I kind of laugh at the people. I laugh at the bracketologists right now who think, well, this is a perfect example of why we should do this. I'm like, yeah, except you disagree with each other anyway, too. So, like, what difference does it make?
And they went off the eye test, which is something you should also go off of.
Very, very true.
And North Carolina Carolina looks like a tournament team, especially the way they've been playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost to Duke in the semifinals, but they had been hot.
Yeah.
They lost to Duke twice in that stretch.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if you go by certain metrics, they're a top 15 team since the start of February. So
this was the top 10 team at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right about Texas though. The heat did get off of them because did the SEC really need a 14th team in there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it'd be interesting if Xavier beats them tonight. And
yeah, I mean, I personally think Xavier does.
Also shout out Syracuse, Notre Dame, and North Carolina.
Yeah.
All won in the first four.
Not the accomplishment I wanted to be in there.
Hey, Syracuse made it to the Sweet 16 after the first four.
Going into the bracket a little bit more here, were there any kind of seeding spots that caught you off guard?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Okay.
The number one, obviously, ACC guy.
Okay, so I think me and you are on the same page with our...
There's only 4 teams.
Well, but I think our main seeding issue is the top one is the same team.
How did Clemson get 3 seeds better than Louisville?
Okay, well, that's not the way I thought you were going to
thought it was Duke. I also have a problem.
No, mine's actually just outright Louisville as an 8 seed.
Yeah, you could say Louisville's 8 seed. I'm complaining about Clemson, who Louisville just beat, had a better regular season than Clemson.
Yeah.
And they're 3 seeds higher?
Yeah,
So it really goes into Louisville being 8 seed. Louisville should not be an 8 seed at all. But
I thought Louisville should probably have been a 4, if I'm being honest.
Yes, at least higher than Clemson.
Yeah.
How is Clemson 3 seeds higher?
There's just a lot, and I know it's tough because now we're going into some hypotheticals.
Because Clemson beat Duke. That's why.
I think part of it is that I think we're getting a little bit into some hypotheticals here too, and I'm going to talk about some stuff here to some degrees.
Also, Duke not getting the number 1 overall. You can not give.
I actually don't have a problem with that.
If you don't give it to Duke, at least give it to Florida.
See, that's where
You really want to give it to Auburn that bad?
Body of work wise, the whole season, yeah. I understand where there should be arguments made. I'm not going to disagree.
Even though some opinions, even though Duke didn't get it, people think Duke's got the easiest path, though.
Well, I don't want to give away my pick for the national title here. I just think there's a certain number 1 seed that got overlooked all year in a pretty bad way.
Houston.
Yeah.
Well, we just mentioned the other 3.
They're the best. They're the best defensive team in the country. Their offense is really, really good. I think they got a little bit of marks down for being in what ended up being, actually at the end of the day, a pretty good Big 12 conference this year. Maybe not as good as the past couple of years, but still a pretty good conference overall.
Taking Kansas?
I do have Kansas, I think, going at least in the first round here.
Against Arkansas.
Yeah, I do have
Bottom
them.
left.
I have them beating Arkansas, yeah.
And St. John's.
I have St. John's beating them, but St. John. Well, okay. So, don't get me wrong. I'm big on St. John's. I love what Pitino's done there. I love what they've been able to help do for the Big East now as a team that's not UConn, as I'm calling it, right? Even though, frankly, to me, if you've been sleeping on the Big East now for the past few years, that's just on you.
Also, you mentioned
St. John's. St. John's got me worried a little bit. And I'm zigging at where I think a lot of people are zagging, but I have them losing to Texas Tech in the Sweet 16.
Interesting.
I get combine their losses. It's only been by 7 total points and stuff like that, but they've been in a lot of tight games that they shouldn't have been in. You know what I mean?
Another thing, you mentioned Louisville. What about Louisville has to play Creighton?
Yeah, Creighton's another one where I don't know about. They're probably right where they should have been.
And Auburn's got to get Auburn potentially gets the winner of that in the next
round. Auburn now being for the first overall seed, they do not have an easy bracket. I personally have actually Louisville beating Auburn in the round of 32.
That happens every once in a while.
Auburn left a lot to be desired the last, we'll call it 3 weeks of the year, including the conference tournament. They did not have a great February. I think that's where a lot of the seed talk too comes from. And that's what I mean by I have to take them at the whole body of work all year. Again, not to knock any of these other number 1 seeds or even number 2s that you could argue to be number 1. But, Florida got out of the gate kind of rough. They've been good all year. They might be the deepest team in the country, but it wasn't. They didn't get to their high gear until midway through the year, in my mind. For all purposes, you get outside of that front five offensively for Duke, they still remain really great defensively. Offensively, we've seen where they've struggled a little bit, right? Houston, great defensively. Again, there's been some questions every now and then about their offense. So I don't have a problem with that. I just think for Auburn, the lately stuff hasn't been great. The stuff in their bracket lends them no room for error, right? So they either play Creighton or Louisville, right? And then you look at it, you either have to play a Texas A&M team that's been good all year, and they obviously played each other all year. And I'm not going exactly by matchup here, but I'm going by seed. You have a Michigan team that's been feisty. I don't know if they get by UC San Diego, but that leads right in, right? You have a UC San Diego team that a lot of people love, and I do too. We talked about them last week. You have a Yale team that a lot of people love, and they play Texas A&M in the first round. Mm-hmm. That top portion of it's not easy for them. And then you look at the bottom portion of it, right? Michigan State. Now we have UNC, Iowa State, Marquette, and frankly, a New Mexico team that a lot of people are pretty high on. I don't know. I think it's a tough road for Auburn to get to the Final Four.
I agree. Like I said, I have not filled out a bracket, but I have ideas. I know the bracket.
You have thoughts?
I have thoughts, and the one that I know, the Big Ten, not huge on it, and I know they haven't won a championship since the year 2000. But the fact that people are sleeping on Michigan is concerning to me. Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking UC San Diego is the upset pick of the first round. I think Michigan's going to beat them in the first round. And the one I do like, though, is Yale. Yale's playing
A&M.
And Buzz Williams, love the guy. But he tends to lose a lot in the tournament as well. Typically earlier than he should. And I could see that upset happening. Who's Akron playing? Akron's playing.
Akron got, in my mind, they got shafted a little bit. They got Arizona.
See, now Arizona's another one that always seems to get upset, especially in that first round. If Arizona can get by the first round, then maybe, but I like Akron in that game. Are you thinking, because when I'm thinking in my head right now, just trying to fill it out right now, I don't know if I have an SEC team in the Final Four.
So
and that's a disaster, right?
I don't have an SEC team in the Final Four yet.
And that's a disaster season.
I think so. Now, for as good as they've been all year, there's also some essence of cannibalism in there amongst the conference. I think no matter what, there's always some falters along the way.
I think if all 14 win, there's a chance that we could see 3 SEC matchups in the second round. 2 or 3 or something like that.
Let me try and run through this quick. There's one. We're doing really great with this, by the way. Theater of the Mind.
Don't forget about Texas.
2. Well, that's true. If no. Well, actually, I guess so. Yeah, they would have to win both. There's 3.
Texas is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Texas would have to get through.
Yeah, have to win twice.
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah, sure. But I think that might happen a little bit more than we kind of think.
I think we saw it that one year. Big East got 11. I think Marquette.
I feel like the ACC. I feel like that even happens with the ACC every now and then, where maybe it's not 3, but there's 2.
And we've seen this a bunch of times when a conference gets double-digit seeds that tend a lot of them to lose.
It's weird to kind of go back a little bit. I don't have a ton of outright upsets happening necessarily this year in the grand scheme of it. Maybe that's a discussion for a broader point here in a second, but I do have UC San Diego beating Michigan. Part of my numbers I look at has been stuff from the second half of the year, so New Year's through. They're actually better than Michigan, metrically speaking, since the new year. Other than that, it's really the only upset up. Well, I guess it depends how you view it. I do have UNC beating Ole Miss. In fact, I have UNC getting by Iowa State to get to the Sweet 16. But
you mentioned a 1-9 or whatever they are, 8-9 over a 1.
yeah,
I'll give you one. I think a lot of people tend to forget this team is the two-time defending national champion.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are high on Florida.
Yeah.
But I could see UConn beating Florida.
I could see it. Yeah, I don't disagree. I just think the main issue with them this year, right, is they don't have a go-to the way they used to. I think Florida's depth might actually kind of get that. That's one of the spots where I feel like they overemphasize now. Florida depth kind of comes into play.
But Hurley's the greatest coach in the game.
He ain't even the best coach in this conference.
A lot of great coaches in that conference.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about maybe that element of it, the upsets. Do you have a ton of upsets this year necessarily? Like,
that scares me that I don't.
It's just weird that this year, compared to the last few, I just don't. Like I said, I have a couple, but like it's for reasons that I like have like reasons to back up. Besides, like, well, there's always a 12 that beats a 5. Like, for example, like, and this is what I meant by like revisionist history. And it's funny that this is a 12-5 matchup, but like Memphis is dinged up. They're playing a Colorado State team that's red hot. Like, you go back again, I talk about the new year and Bartorovic and sortable data. Colorado State's number 27, Memphis is 64. Like, this has just not been a good team the second half of the year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
people are high in that one too.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I don't view it as I necessarily have like a ton of outright upsets. Now I do have a couple. Like, let's not get twisted. I have VCU getting probably further than most people have. I do have UNC going further probably than most people do. But like outside of that, like I don't necessarily have like a ton of just like upsets for the sake of saying like, well, we know they're going to happen.
And of course, college basketball giving us an 8-9 matchup to start the bracket. Half of our perfect brackets will be gone after one game.
Right.
With Louisville and Creighton, which is also a very toss-up.
They know what they're doing.
And I think I mentioned it. I like Akron.
You did. You did mention that.
To beat Arizona. And I think that's my, I guess you could say, lock upset. I know a lot of people. Are you high on? You think UC San Diego is going to win the first round?
Yes.
You think they'll beat Michigan? I like Yale.
Yeah.
Yale's playing who again?
A&M.
A&M. Yes, I like that one. Who's Tennessee playing?
Wofford.
Ooh. What's that? A 3-4 team?
215.
215. Tennessee.
Yeah, actually,
man.
Wofford's. Yeah.
Tennessee. I'm just waiting for them to lose to somebody.
Well, I have them losing in the second round to UCLA.
UCLA is interesting.
Yeah. Where that's actually been an upset pick, too, is a lot of people are leaning heavy on Utah State over UCLA.
But it wouldn't shock me if a 15 seed won this year,
Yeah, true.
We've seen it a bunch now, definitely more recently than in the past. I don't know if a 16 seed's going to win.
I don't think this
that happens every 10 years or so, at least.
Well, it's been 2 in the past 8.
It has happened.
So, not quite at your number.
But I did enjoy watching the Jumbotron at the.
Yes.
At the,
so did the Miami and
Arena.
Kent State and Drake players and all that.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see the upsets. Obviously, it ruins a lot of brackets, but to win the bracket challenge, you just got to keep like your Elite 8, your Final 4 intact, and you could stay in the hunt.
Yeah.
As long as you keep majority of them intact, as long as you keep your champion as well, you're going to probably need to get the champion, right? Because that's where most of the points are.
Yeah.
So, but kind of like March Madness kind of sneaked up on us this year.
Kind of, yeah.
And this day is always the day, people get excited to watch the play-ins yesterday, and you're like, okay, let's get this thing going. Yeah. They got these games tonight.
We got one more day of play-ins. Yeah.
I didn't know the women's had a first 4. Apparently they have a first 4. I didn't know when that started.
Today.
Is this the first year of it?
Oh, no.
Oh,
it was the same time as like the men's, give or take.
better than the first one, the one playing game they used to have.
Well, I didn't mind it, but yeah.
That was just 2 16 seeds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it because like I said, I don't know why we've been playing in for 11 seeds.
Did you hear what Rick Pitino
whatever.
said this week though? Was
What'd
it
he say?
yesterday? That he wants the Big East and ACC to potentially come together as one conference.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, it was last week. I think he brought that up during like the pre stuff. I get where he's coming from, but like I feel like it's more in response to the way the SEC's kind of acting more than anything else.
Yeah, they're trying to compete with the Big Ten, the SEC, and create this super conference. Which, you want more. Both of these conferences feel like they kind of got hosed, not getting as many teams in the tournament because of their schedules. They're like, well, let's create this super conference and get more. And that'd be super cool for the fans because you get some of the rivalries back that you grew up watching, and you'd have a lot of great matchups. You'd have Duke going to the Garden, play St. John, stuff like that every year. Well, not every year. I hate to see Notre Dame and Syracuse might play once every 3 years with all those teams.
Well, I think it'd be something along the lines of what the ACC. Was it the ACC and the Pac-12 before it got dismantled? Kind of did where it's like the allegiance type thing, where it's just like I think it'd be more schedule heavy non-conference stuff that way than actually like for example Notre Dame and Xavier being a conference game. I don't think that's what's happening.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's more like our non-con will be heavy on, say, Seton Hall playing Syracuse, right? Providence playing Boston College. Kind of talk about, those are actually two kind of good examples of talking about kind of reintroducing some older rivalries too, kind of back into play.
When I hear something like this happening, I think about what about the Big 12? What are they going to do?
Well, they don't have to worry about that. I mean, the Big 12 is 16 teams deep. Like they don't have to worry about it. Like that's the thing about the stuff, right? That I think why Patino brought up is the fact that like the Big 12 has 16 teams that they can rely on, right? The SEC has 16 teams, right? Big 10 has 18 teams that they can rely on. Like they don't have to worry about only having 10 teams, and while all 10 are pretty quality in the grand scheme of it, outside of maybe one or two, the NCAA and other people still view it as a negative variable for some reason. Like that's the part I kind of laugh at. Like Kyle Neptune gets fired from Villanova after 3 years because he had a down year last year. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Just say this using bad example, probably really, but it's as well as things where it's like, I just think it's a bad look. I mean, frankly, to me, the Big East this year was the second best in terms of just pure watching college hoops. Like second best league to watch. Like
behind the SEC.
Yeah, again, like just Big East just has quality ball.
Let's pour one out. Another tournament-less season for DePaul.
Good rebound year though. Chris Holtman's got that team looking in the right direction.
Still got that shirt?
No, dog, dude. That was like
You need another DePaul shirt.
Actually, what's funny is I've looked at a couple of DePaul shirts, but for different unironic reasons. But
yeah, maybe something. I think it's 2000 was the last time they made the tournament. Something like
that.
Yeah, they are, as you said, on the rise, but definitely one of the worst Power 5 or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Power 6. I don't know how many conferences there are.
Yeah, college basketball, Power. Yeah, depends.
Whatever.
I guess it depends.
One of the bigger teams.
Depends how you view some things, I suppose, with basketball. Yeah, but damn, the hell happened out there?
But yeah, looking forward to the tournament.
Yeah. All right, Final Four.
So just thinking about the bracket, I'm pretty high on Duke. They're pretty loaded. This is one of the best defensive Duke teams I've ever seen too, and they can shoot the ball, and they got a star player. So I'm taking Duke. I'm liking Houston. They play defense. Obviously, I can change these picks by tomorrow at noon.
Yep.
I like Houston.
11:59.
Something is telling me a St. John's UConn Elite 8 matchup. And if we get St. John's UConn,
it would feed families. I'm
taking UConn.
Okay.
And I think UConn gets back to the Final Four.
Interesting.
definitely probably going to have to change that. But UConn, and the other one, I think a lot of people are sleeping on. I'm taking Michigan. Taking Michigan to the Final Four.
Right.
That one I'm pretty high on. They've been playing well as of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Auburn might get knocked out in the second round. I don't know if I picked them yet, but let's see how Michigan does.
Yeah.
Once again, that's no SEC teams in my Final Four. But as much as I hate it, taking Duke.
So me and you, at least initially here, have two of the same Final Four, right? I have Duke and Houston.
I think the left side's going to get crazy.
The left side is where I think we can see some anarchy happen, which I do think happens. I have Texas Tech in the Final Four, out of the South region there.
Big 12.
I think they beat Florida. I don't think you get the luxury of having UConn, St. John's, but
That'd be cool though.
Yeah, it would be cool. And then
especially those two coaches going.
Man, we talk about this. We haven't talked about it really all year, but it's something we talked about in the past. Call me crazy. I got Michigan State in the Final Four.
Oh, other Michigan.
I think in that portion of the bracket there's enough tomfoolery that can happen. I like I said, I don't think Auburn gets by Louisville because I have Louisville moving on. And I too don't have an SEC team in the Final Four. I have two Big 12s in the Final Four with a Big 10 and an ACC team.
And
my national championship game is Texas Tech against Houston.
And
Houston. It's a good defensive team. I think people kind of forget in these situations. It's a lot like if you watch the NBA more than you watch college basketball. It's a lot like this in this regard too. Defense kind of comes to the forefront a little bit more in these games. There's a little bit of fatigue that happens at this time of year with a lot of teams.
Samson needs a national title.
And I just think defense matters here. What's kind of funny is this Texas Tech team is one of the best offenses in the country. So it's going to be a battle of best offense versus best defense. For me, and I think the best defense will come through.
What if I lose Michigan because of UC San Diego on the first day? Not surprised. My bracket's usually shot by the first day anyway. So
that's true. I think for the most of us, yeah.
Was it last year you hung around for a little bit there?
Well, that's because I got lucky and like my Final Fours were still there, but like everything else was like bad. So.
And if you're going to do a popular pick like Houston or Duke.
Houston's actually, they've been popular, but the most popular picks have been Duke and Auburn I've seen.
There'll be some Houston picks. But when you do pick a popular pick, you got to get those early round picks right because that's where you're going to have to differentiate yourself with the other Duke people.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we'll be wrong and we'll be talking about.
That bracket will be in fire. It'll be in the bonfire somewhere.
And we'll be talking about a Montana and Lipscomb championship game. And
oh man, that'd be incredible.
But that like unironically would be though, like in the best way possible.
Hey, I say 2 years ago when we had like San Diego State playing FAU in the Final Four, that's as crazy as it's gonna get. Yeah. That's like the most random Final Four you'll get.
I think we could still see some craziness. It's always out there. It's always lurking.
J. Bill is taking 4-1 seed is concerning.
There's a lot of people taking chalk this year.
Concerning to me.
Yeah.
Something's gonna give.
Yeah. No, it always does. It always does. Is there anything else to talk about? I don't really think there is. I know you woke up at least yesterday early to watch the Tokyo series.
Yes, I did watch the whole game yesterday, not today.
It wasn't on national TV today, technically, which is stupid in my mind. Like, I don't know why you do one game but not the other. Whatever.
Yeah, what is on at 6 a.m.?
Again, our baseball stuff will be next week when we preview the season. But, yeah,
Pirates first place?
Every team,
Rockies are already out.
I suppose, yeah. I guess Pittsburgh is technically first place because the Cubs lost both. So.
Rockies are already game back.
Half game. No, it is a full game because it was 2 games.
Our first sweep of the year. The Cubs, man, I know it's only a couple games and it's a week before the actual.
I don't want to give away too much in my opinions for next week. I just don't understand the love with the Cubs this year for the Central.
Their bullpen still doesn't look great.
You could probably make the case that their starting rotation's worse this year than it was last year. I think you can.
Especially the way Justin Steele pitched last year. I know it's just the first game. He didn't pitch great this morning.
No.
And I don't know. I don't know why people are so high on the Cubs because the Kyle Tucker signing. Justin Turner's washed.
But they don't pitch. Anyway, it doesn't matter about that. They don't pitch.
I mean, that's put a lot on Shota and Manga's shoulders. He's gonna have to
steal. Yeah.
They're gonna have to really and
we live in a world where I'm sitting here going like they got negative by losing Drew Smiley.
Yeah.
Like
should have had that was a perfect game. That one game he ran into his catcher.
Oh, Jan ran into him.
Yeah, that's right.
Even though to be fair that's the catcher's ball, but like Smiley was just there and that.
He'll never get that chance again.
More than likely not.
Hey, at least Armando
Galarraga.
Yes. He still talked about today though.
Yeah.
Because one of the most infamous non-no-hitter or perfect games ever.
Have you seen that Manfred has looked into overturning it? I don't like that.
It's too late.
Well, my main thing is just like if you're doing that, then like this you're opening up Pandora's box. I don't.
Yeah, we can overturn everything.
That's even something that Galarraga himself brought up when he was told that.
Remember the Pirates Braves 19-inning game?
Oh, where the infield got the size of North Dakota?
No, the one where he laid the tag in the 19th inning.
Oh, the Julio Lugo and McKinley.
We overturn that. We get that game started up again. We started there.
But I'm just saying though, like you just open up Pandora's box, and that's something even Galarraga said. It's like I don't think you can overturn this. Like
no, it's in the books.
Yeah. So
that's why I love that saying in the books.
Yep.
It's you can't get rid of it.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if it was like day of.
It's got to be in the Hall of Fame, right?
They do have stuff from the game in the Hall of Fame as like an
game,
exhibit. Yeah. So
it's one of the most iconic regular season games ever.
Yeah. Look at us talking about baseball and whatever. So yeah, next week will be fun. Obviously, we'll probably touch on recap and all that. Miran Ovechkin watch too at this point. By the way, we're now well within single digits, and he has got kids in the stands with big foam 8s wearing on their head. Who are you shouting out today, Nick?
I don't care for doing this. I'm doing a double shout out, but a double belated birthday shout out.
Okay, this is interesting.
I don't like doing the belated birthdays, but these two guys deserve it. It was Spencer Tullis' birthday yesterday. Spencer Tullis.
29.
Yes, he turned 29 yesterday. It was his birthday yesterday, and it was also Jaron Johnson's birthday yesterday.
20. Well,
20.
His is not as cool because he's young.
Yeah, so shout out Jaron, Spencer, happy birthday. They don't know each other, but they have the same birthday.
I mean, they probably know of each other in that. Well, Jaron at least to Spencer anyway. But yeah. And Max, of course, is a man.
He's a man. King Todd is still dead.
2 weeks ago. Call back. Shout out.
Still picking the Devils in the Stanley Cup final.
Hey, by the way, before we exactly take off, we're within what? I'm looking up at the clock here because we got the date on it. Well, we're not quite within a month, but Seneca 7 coming up.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. How you feeling right now? We're like I said, we're pretty much a month away at this point.
I am the Shane Battier of the team. I am not the big three. I'm not Mario Chalmers, and I'm not whoever the center was.
But Battier was better than Chalmers.
Battier was good, and I'm going to come in clutch with my 3-pointers off the bench.
Okay.
What I'm saying is...
I'd say you're more like Eddie House territory, but continue.
Eddie House? James Jones?
What was... I feel bad that I'm having a brain fart because I can see him right now. Who was 42 on the Knicks that you loved?
42?
Yeah, not David Lee. I'm talking about this was after David Lee. Like,
I like Ntilikina, but...
No.
42. Jared Jeffries?
No. Landry? No, not
Lance Thomas?
Lance Thomas, yeah. You're Lance Thomas.
What I'm saying is I'm the worst guy on the team.
Okay.
What?
You didn't so
I am part of the team.
So you're Adonis Haslam.
Yes. We're coming along. Getting ready. How are you feeling?
My driving foot's good to go. So
all right. Just making sure concussions can happen. We saw Kurt Busch out that one time with a concussion.
That's a little bit different.
But you're good to go?
Yeah.
I'm ready for the race.
Yeah.
Should be exciting. Doesn't start near the Opera House anymore.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that.
actually starts in the park now, I guess.
So back to like what it was originally.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like actually around the whole lake.
Gotcha.
I think it's park to park.
What time are we going?
I think 6 a.m.
We're the 6 a.m. crew.
Either 6 or 7.
Oof. gosh, I might do a thing where I like don't sleep at all. Like I'll sleep all day the day before, and
It's
then
it's
swap.
early though. If it's not 6, it's 7.
Yeah. I mean, 7's way easier than 6. You know what I mean? But that's my insomnia.
Speaking of time, not to keep this podcast going,
We're good. We're
Why-
still within that hour block.
why is the Tokyo series on at 6 a.m.?
Yeah, my dad brought that up. I get it. It's just a tough time switch hang. I mean, more than anything else.
Why are we going off of Tokyo time? It's our league. Like, why not 9 a.m. in Tokyo or 10 a.m.? I'll take 10 a.m., which would be 9 p.m. here. Why can't we do that? 10 a.m. Is it that too early of a game? I mean, it's still a great time. It'd be 9 p.m. here, which would be a decent time. Even if you don't want to do a morning game, how about you push it back? It was only 7 p.m. there. Push it back to 9 p.m. and that would be 8 a.m. here, which would be more reasonable.
Maybe they have different customs, and we are abiding.
I'm just 6 a.m.
It's whatever.
That's too
It
early.
wasn't even on TV today.
3 a.m. for Dodgers fans.
It wasn't even on TV, so who cares?
That's another thing. That's so many things.
I'm not fighting that fight. The people online are fighting that fight.
It's a great series. I look forward to it. It's just it could be better.
I hear you. So, well, all right, we'll get out of here on that note, though, officially. So, as we were ranting and raving. So, appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. Nick, appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. We'll be back at it again next Wednesday. We got baseball coming up, so looking forward to that. We'll talk then, everybody.